with some of that. Boom. Oh, we already have one viewer. Look at that. All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. It is the Living in Coastal Virginia YouTube channel live. And we are live on Facebook, on Instagram, I think. Maybe not Instagram. Instagram? Not Instagram. TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook. Yeah, all of these places except for Instagram. And the tubes. So tonight we're covering a couple of things. But before we get to that, let me pull up my... well... What am I doing, Sean?
You want to share your screen?
Oh, I have the screens backwards. Hear me. Go over here, screen mirroring, display settings, arrange, and pull that over there. That way they're in the right order. Stop it. Stop. There we go. All right, done. Now it's fixed. Going the wrong direction. All right, so we'll minimize that. Let's pull up. Let's get rid of that, and let's go over here. So we've got quite a few things that we're going to kind of cover. First and foremost, tell us where you're coming from. We want to know what marketplace you're in. We only got one person in right now, but hopefully more will be joining us. Where are you coming from? If you're watching this on the replay, we would love to hear about what marketplace you're coming from. If you're local, if you're someone that's looking to relocate in the area, if you're just learning about the area and you want to know more, you're welcome to put down that. We'd love to hear from more from where you're coming from. Tonight, as we do, we're going to do our local libations, or we might do just general libations. But we're trying to, in general, stick to as much local stuff as possible. You know, support local when you can. Let's see if I can get it to not focus on my face. And we've got the Williamsburg Winery, 2 Shilling Red, vintage, 2021. Sean, are you a wine person?
I love wine.
You do? Okay, all right. Give myself a hearty pour there.
I'm a wine person for sure.
Do we need to throw the camera on there? Give it a little. All right, so I've had this before. Let me give you my thoughts on it real quick.
Do the 4 S's or whatever it is. Right?
Oh, is there 4 S's?
I don't know if it's 4 or 5.
I'm gonna pull like the Gary V version, which is I don't know crap about wine, and I'm just gonna go based off of regular taste. So. Smells good. Smells a little dry. Light sweetness. It's got like a mixture of like a Merlot Cab. It's a blend, I think, right? Yeah, it's a table wine, so a blend.
That's good, actually. I really like that.
Not bad though on price either, too. What was it, like $12 or something for the bottle?
Yeah.
$12. Super reasonable, and obviously supporting local is best. Okay. Oh, that really is nice.
Gotta do the.
I don't know if I'm going to do that. So Williamsburg Winery, definitely want to check them out if that's something that you're into. 2 Shilling Red is the wine that we're drinking tonight, and it comes from 45 minutes away, which is fantastic. Question for you people at home. When you pour your bottle of wine, do you take off this silly piece of aluminum, or do you do the cutter thing at the top? And if you know the reason why, you're supposed to leave it on there and cut it, please let me know, because I'm just a wine heathen, and like a Neanderthal, and I just rip that bad boy off because it just gets irritating to me. So I'd love to know if you know why you cut this instead of just ripping it off. Is it just because it's civilized? Is it because that's what you're supposed to do? I'm wearing a hoodie, so that should give you some indication of how much I care. All right. I did dress up the other night, Sean. Did you see my picture from the award ceremony? Had myself a nice jacket on, the Oxford
looking
cut.
That
was me dressed up big time. So again, let us know where you're coming from. We just covered the libations. We're doing 2 Shilling Red from Williamsburg Winery. Absolutely lovely wine. If I was gonna eat that, if I was gonna drink that with something, Sean, I'm thinking like a ribeye. Or some chicken with maybe some asparagus. I think that would go really, really well. It's really light.
I was going to say, it's a very easy to sip wine.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's a lovely wine. This would be really good on a cheap date out by like the water.
Cheese and
crackers, watch a sunset. This would be lovely. Yeah, I'll give that.
Out of here. South Carolina.
Charleston. Hey, Tristan, are you coming to the area? Are you just exploring, or did YouTube just kind of throw you in here? It's always interesting to see how the algorithms work. Again, if you're on TikTok, feel free to put questions in. Sean can answer questions, or he'll put them in the queue there. Larchmont, gotta love it. I live in Larchmont myself, right down the street. Yeah, so first we're going to talk about the market. I think in general, there's a lot of confusion about what's going on. I was just having a conversation with somebody that lives in Ghent, and they were exploring buying a place in East Beach or Chicks Beach because they wanted something close to the water. They have a house, or not a house, a boat that's docked over there. And they just sent me an email today basically saying, hey, like, we're going to discontinue our search. We're not really that interested anymore. We're running numbers. Lambert's Point. What's up, Steve? Casamento, we got some client people in here. Awesome. One of the things they had kind of lamented was like, hey, we're looking at downsizing, and the way that prices have gone and the interest rates where they're at, it's actually more expensive for us to buy a house that is less expensive because of interest rates and what they were expecting to buy. And so they have I think like a 2,500 square foot place in the Ghent area, and what they could get for the same monthly price in today's market is just so much more that they're just going to basically stay put. And I was like, hey, I get it. 80% of all mortgages right now that are of people that have a note on their home are below 4.5%. That's really impressive. There's a guy I follow, Jason Hartman. He's a great YouTuber. If you don't follow him, if you want to learn the ins and outs and like some super nerd information on real estate, he's got some great information there, and he calls it the Fed poison pill. Because literally, when the Fed came in and lowered the rates the way that they did, they artificially lowered interest rates beyond a place where they would with the natural market. And so 50% of all loans right now are below 3.5%. My cat's making some noise over there. 50% of all loans are below 3.5%. That is significant. That's significant. So when I hear people or even YouTubers say things like it's going to crash, I go, well, maybe. But right now, the data just doesn't point there. Foreclosures, forbearance numbers are at lows. They do not indicate right now that it is going to crash. The average foreclosure timeline is like 2.5, almost 3 years. So even if the numbers did increase, it would take a very long time for those to hit the market. And I'm finding more and more people are just unwilling to let go of that mortgage. I'm curious, let me know in the comments if you have moved or you own a house in the last 2 or 3 years, would you buy in today's market? Like unless you have to move, you're probably not considering it. I'd be curious, what's your current mortgage payment and interest rate? Or maybe just interest rate if you don't want to share the mortgage payment. I'd be curious, what interest rate do you have? Because it makes a big difference. The poison pill that Jason was trying to hit on is that it causes a position where a large portion of the market has no incentive to move. Prices have gone up pretty significantly, and interest rates are high. And so the marketplace that we are in, unless you have to move or you're a luxury buyer and it doesn't matter, or you're a cash buyer and it doesn't matter, you are heavily questioning selling your place and moving. Maybe you're looking at improving. So I'm gonna share my screen here, and I want to kind of just go through it live because I think this can be super helpful. It's not just me telling you; it's me walking through the data. All right. Now, if you're not a real estate nerd, I apologize. We'll get to the more fun stuff like events that are coming up here shortly. So bear with me, if you will, as we go nerddom. And if you have any questions whatsoever as we go along, please stop me because I tend to go on tears and I also get lots of rabbit trails, and I'm totally okay if you have a random question. That is nice. I like that. Cool. A couple things here. I'm just gonna look at some year-over-year statistics. Okay. Right now, for month over month, you can kind of see that's what this is, and this is year over year right here. You can see year over year, we are up about 5%. Month to month, 1.6. Settled sales, year over year basis. Now this looks. I think the lowest it was almost 32%. This, you have to be careful not to falsely correlate. Just because there are less sales going on doesn't necessarily mean that the market is crashing. Remember, more and more people are staying in their homes. They have less of incentive to move. Also, because interest rates are higher, you have less and less buyers. Money's not as cheap as it used to be, so there are less people that are willing to move or able to afford the mortgage, right? The $500,000 buyer 2 years ago or a year and a half ago is now a $400,000 buyer. The $800,000 buyer today is now a 650. The person that could barely afford a 250,000 entry or $300,000 entry level home is now at 150, and everything at 150 sucks, and they're like, I'm not buying a house. Okay. Median days on market. Has it gone up over time? Here's what you'll see, and we'll go to weekly data in a minute. But what you saw as interest rates rose throughout the year, because typically days on market goes down as you enter into summer, not up. But as interest rates went up, and there was a lot of kind of chaos, a lot of concern about what's going on in the market, you saw days on market go up. Right? So typically you would see a low in the summer and it would come up during the winter, so this movement from like August to December, very normal, but it was exacerbated, I think that's the right way to say that, made more prominent by what was going on with interest rates. But what was interesting is right basically since January, end of December, days on market has come down, right? And 14 days on market is low, is very low. If you go back from 2012 to 2018, we'll just call that a neutral or a little bit more of a balanced market. The average days on market was low, it was somewhere between like 40 to 60 days. So let me show, not tell. Let me go over here to Market Insights. Let me go down here a little bit, and we're going to go to. All right, here we go. This is median sales price. So let's go over to median days on market. Now the analytics here, or the data only goes back to 2004. So what you see here is from 2012, right? Here's kind of 2012, 65 days. You go to the summer and the low is 46. And the market was becoming more and more competitive over time, right? Again, highs during winter, lows during summer. And you would see that normal, right? When I was advising clients in 2018, I'd say, hey, average days on market's 54 if you're headed into winter. Expect that if we list sometime in August, September, November, December, that you're probably going to sit on market for 45 to 60 days. That's pretty normal. If you want to wait till summer, it'll be better for you. Starting around April, May timeframe, it'll go down to like 30. So I would encourage you to wait, because if you go and you look at the median sales price at the exact same time, give a second here to load, you'll also notice that the higher price points are also correlated during the summer, right? And so historically, I've always said this, buyers should look at buying during the winter. That's when you're going to get the best deals. Yes, there is less inventory, but if you're looking for the best overall deal, winter's your time. If you're looking for the most amount of money for your home sale, summer's your time. Pretty simple. And it happens every single year. If I go over here and I look at average percent of list price received, this is the ratio between the sales price and the list price ratio. You'll notice that the high is during summer and the low is during winter. And that happens every single year. So just to kind of go drive my point home one more time here on what it meant, right? So let's do a real basic Econ 101 thing. When prices go up, one of two things should happen. Maybe a combination of the two. Either supply goes down or demand goes up. When prices go up, supply either decreases or demand goes up. And if I look at the average amount of active listings during a period of time, give a second here to load. Let me do median sales price, right? This will be better. We'll back into it. From 2004 all the way to 2006, you see this really quick run up in pricing, right? And in your brain, you should be thinking, oh, that means either one, demand went really, really up, or supply went really, really low, or some combination of the two. If you're with me, stay with me. Let me know, are you with me? Does that make sense? I'd love to know that makes sense on any of the platforms, that makes sense. Basic econ, when prices go up, especially when they go up dramatically, either demand goes really, really high or supply goes down. And what we look at during this period of time, if we look at active listings, the amount of homes that are available for sale, give it a second here, we'll see that active listings went from 2004 all the way to 2007, that it basically quadrupled. Now, there should be an alarm bell going off in your head right now, which says, wait a minute, Dan, you said supply went down or demand went really, really far up. That's how stupid, how ridiculous demand was. That's how many people that were out writing offers on homes with mortgages they couldn't afford, with ninja loans, with no document verification loans that were out there. People that were getting second mortgages that should have no business getting a second mortgage. The demand was so high that from all the way up into the 2000, let's say 2006 right here, even if you say, well, Dan, the crash started in end of 2006, early 2007, I go, okay, cool. Well, supply still tripled. Still tripled. Again, that's how strong and how ridiculous demand was. So you go to fast forward to today and you see, okay, well, I see this summer winter cycle that you're talking about, right? Low during the winter, right? Active listings, high during the summer, because most people move during the summer, which totally makes sense. And you can see that this is coming down. This was a little bit of a balanced market here between 12 and kind of 18, 19. Well, what happened? What happened in 2020? COVID hit, right? And when COVID hit, go figure, when half of the marketplace thinks that COVID is a hoax and the other half of the marketplace that thinks the end of the world is happening, go figure, a lot of people don't put their house on the market, right? Totally makes sense. So what happened? Supply plummeted, absolutely tanked. Well, what happened to mortgage rates during that period of time, right? Let me go back over here at Max. Here is 2020, right here, it was already low. They went even lower to historic 50-year lows, right? So when you take interest rates and you lower them to the lowest they've been in 50 years and supply goes down, well, go figure that the housing prices go up the way that they did. Basic supply and demand economics. This is super, super simple stuff. Okay. Now, when I sit here, hey, the market's going to crash, I go, all right, well, if I look at this trend, active listings tend to go up right around January, February, March, right? January, February, March, January, February, March, they tend to go up. Well, here's January right here. What's happened? February, March, April. It has not gone up. Supply has not gone up. There are not enough homes for sale. And even though interest rates, let me go back over here to this 5-year thing, have gone from 3.25%, right? Well, let's just say 2020, January 2020. So 3.5% all the way up to 7%. And we're kind of hovering right here around 6.5%, right? If you're, depending on the loan type, you might be as low as low 6s or as high as 7, depending on the loan type where you're getting and your interest rate, or excuse me, your DTI and credit score. But this is pretty normal today right here. And this is probably going to continue to be normal for some period of time. I personally think that rates are going to come down a little faster than what people anticipate. And if rates come down, what does that do? That makes, does it make it more competitive or less competitive? Basic intuition said say, if rates come down, that means that there will be more buyers in the marketplace, not less.
More competitive.
More competitive. There you go, Sean. You get a gold star, buddy, or some more wine, whatever you prefer. You don't have to talk, so you can sit here. Hey, if you're just now joining us, let us know where you're coming from. We'd love to hear that. If on any platform, we'd love to hear where you're coming from. We are discussing a couple of things. First, we started off with our libation of the night. Sean, will you hand me that again real quick? We are drinking a local wine, 2 Shilling Red from Williamsburg Winery. Absolutely recommend it. Very light, very lovely, kind of like an easy drinking red wine. $12, super reasonable. Watching from Virginia Beach, just October. Okay, yeah. I think what's going to end up happening, Chili's chick, is likely as rates come down. If your mortgage is something that you can afford, if it's something that is maybe it hurts your feelings a little bit, but you're like, hey, I can afford this. Move from Maine, very good. I'm curious. Did you watch the channel before you moved here? I'd be curious how long you've been watching. That you hopefully in the next 6 months to 18 months, rates will come down a little bit. You'll be able to refinance, and it'll make your payment a little bit more bearable. So as interest rates come down, I think demand is going to come up. So I think, in my opinion, I think the Fed should be very careful and very paced on how much they lower, and I think they should do it at I did in a few others. Chili's chick, you didn't use me to help me buy a house? What the heck? hurt my feelings. I'm gonna cry over
He
here.
baited you into that one.
Yeah, I did. I kind of set that one up a little bit. Set that one up. Well, cheers. Welcome to the area. Welcome to be now to be a local. Well, here's to you, Chili Stick. Well, to your lovely home.
Our channel's the best, right? I need to know this.
Yeah, that would be
as the producer of this channel.
That would be lovely to hear. It'd be fantastic to hear some feedback. If there are things that you think we could do better, if there's content that you think we should add to it, we are doing a little bit more of a high level, just kind of a fun video that's coming up. We're doing the top 5 local seafood places that you absolutely must check out. It's going to be the most expensive, the local dive bar, a local's favorite, best view, and budget friendly. I think those are going to be the top 5. So excited about that. We're working with some of the restaurants to get in there and start filming some of that stuff. And we're going to try to, if you've seen some of our price point comparison videos, those are really easy and super high. Like just kind of going over like what you can afford one marketplace to the other. Okay. All right. Well,
we didn't lose out to.
All right. I didn't lose out to somebody. That's really the most important. But I'm
Shoot,
still deeply offended, and I'm going to cry in the shower tonight in the fetal position. Shoot, what was I covering? Top 5. So one of the things that Sean and I are working on is we want to continuously improve the quality of the content. I don't want to be known as the guy who's just putting out tons of just kind of low grade stuff. I want to put out the best, period. And so we're putting a lot of time and energy and effort into that. And so I'd love to hear your feedback. I think the latest Williamsburg video is probably some of our best work that we've done in a little while. I need to dress up a little bit better. Or maybe the hoodie is what makes me endearing to a lot of folks. But I think I need to dress a little bit better. All right, back to, again, if you're just tuning in, we're going over kind of the real estate market, where I think it's going to go. So back over here to what I was talking about, active listings. You see how it's kind of flatlined here. And I'm going to go over to, let's see here. That is month-to-month data over a period of time. What I'm going to pull up next is week-to-week data, because this is something I pay attention to on a day-to-day or a week-to-week basis, okay? Because I, as a real estate agent, need to be paying attention. If I look at only months, then I run into this problem where I could be giving someone advice on something that is 30 days old, when I should really be giving them something that's only 7 days old at max. And so as I'm actively listing homes and out there with buyers, making offers, listing homes, negotiating deals, I can look at this and kind of go, okay, what am I experiencing? What does the data say? And how do I best advise my clients? Okay. So there's really kind of 3 things that I'm going to be paying attention to for the most part. If I want to understand where the market is going. First and foremost, I want to understand, I think if I only had one metric, one ring to rule them all, and one ring to bind them. If I had one metric to bind them all, it would be months of supply. That's a Lord of the Rings reference for those. Yes, a little bit of a nerddom here. I did play, as a quick rabbit trail, Sean. I played my first game of. I feel a little awkward.
You're a little scared to say.
I'm a little scared to say it, to be
I know
honest.
what you're gonna say, too.
What do you think I would say?
D&D?
I did. Yes. Yes. I thought that
Funny, 'cause the time
I
we-
mocked ruthlessly people who played this in high school. And now I played a game of it recently. It's basically like a complex board game. A lot more fun than I anticipated it to be.
It wasn't based on it wasn't because of the movie, right? Because
No. I have a couple friends that play. It was a lot more fun. So again, I might have my whole people are going to tune out because it's like, oh gosh, Dan is such a dork.
Dungeons and
He's
Dragons
such a
guy.
nerd.
I mean, I feel like Stranger Things made it cool again. So
It was a lot more fun than I anticipated. All right, back to market stats. All right, so if I had one piece of data that I was going to pay attention to, it would be months of supply. Why? Because what's up?
we got Shane in Virginia Beach watching.
Shane from VB. Hey Shane on
I don't know if
TikTok.
he's from Virginia Beach. He said question mark. So we're in Norfolk.
Yeah. I mean, I live in Norfolk. I probably actually will eventually move out to a place in Virginia Beach sometime in the next few years because I want to eventually buy a place on the water if I can. And I just think Virginia Beach has the best waterfront available. But if you have any questions, Shane, feel free to drop it in there. The reason I like months of supply is because it balances or it contrasts supply and demand perfectly. It is literally supply divided by demand. Okay, so if I'd had, let's say, 1,000 homes available in a marketplace and 200 homes per month were being sold at the current rate of absorption, how quickly homes were being purchased in any point in period of time. Well, 1,000 divided by 200 is 5. So 5 months of supply, right? And what you'll see here on this is that basically 5 to 7 is shaded blue. Okay, well that is, there's a reason for that, because that has historically been an indication of a neutral market. Something that doesn't necessarily favor buyers and something that doesn't necessarily favor sellers. Obviously, there are one-off deals where even in a neutral market, there were multiple offers and that seller got above list price. And then there are also houses that got that drastically favored the buyer in those negotiations, right? But as you go up above 6, the higher you go, the more and more favorable it tends to become for buyers. And statistically, on all of the contracts that come through an attorney's office or a settlement company's office, you would see more and more terms that would favor the buyer. As you go towards 0, and the closer you get towards 0, the more and more terms or the more and more contracts that would have terms that favor sellers, okay? And there are 4 general categories in a contract, right, that you're evaluating an offer by as a seller. One is, well, money, right? If my house is listed for 300 and I get 305, awesome, more money's better, right? Number 2 is going to be, what are you asking me to do? Are you asking me to take a tree down? Are you asking me to put a tree up? Are you asking me to take down my Christmas lights? Are you asking me to power wash the side of the house? Are you asking me to do a home inspection? Are you asking to buy my house with a cash purchase, a VA loan, FHA loan? Like, what are all these things that you're asking me as a seller to be okay with or asking me to do during the contract? Number 3, as a seller, when I'm evaluating an offer, is timing, okay? I might have kids in school and I don't want to close for 60 days because I want them to finish out the school year and I would prefer not to move before that. And then the 4th category is risk. Okay, I as a seller am evaluating the risk of your offer. If it's the only one, I'm evaluating the risk at face value. If I have multiple offers, I'm evaluating the risk of taking your offer over someone else's. Perfect example would be a home sale contingency. If you absolutely must sell your prior home to buying before you buy my home, right? That's risky, because what if you haven't put it on the market yet? What if you misprice it? You're being unreasonable on the number that and you have to do a price reduction before you get under contract. What if you get under contract and the person that's buying your house has a home sale contingency? What if you haven't gotten past the home inspection, the appraisal, right? Financing contingencies, all of these things that go into home buying. And I go, well, that's way more risky than somebody who's buying my house with cash. Okay, so pricing, right, or money overall. What are you asking me to do? Timing and risk. Those are the 4 things you're evaluating. And so as you are looking at this contract, the reason I bring this up is as you get closer and closer to 0, the more and more I get to push as a seller on those terms that favor me. As it goes up and above, 6, 7, again, neutral territory, and the higher and higher it goes, the more terms I as a buyer have the opportunity and ability to push on, right? Because if there are 14 months of supply, right, it's not going to sell out for 14 months. If no other houses came on the market and it was at the current rate of absorption, it would take 14 months for everything. I have all the time in the world as a buyer. Very little pressure. Look, man, if you're not going to take my terms, there's 15 houses down the street I can go negotiate with, right? But that hasn't been the case recently, right? So here's where we're at today. We're still at 2.1. Now, this is all of Hampton Roads. All of Hampton Roads. If I go and I say, I'm curious, if anybody's looking for a house or just recently bought at a certain price point, let me know which area, moving to the area this summer. Okay, Tristan, what price point, which area are you looking, and we'll look specifically at that price point. I'd be curious to hear. If you're still here. If you're not, I'll just pick one and I'll kind of roll. I'll start to pick one and I can always shift it. So I'm going to say I'm going to be looking for a detached home, no townhomes, no condos. I'm going to be looking between, let's just say, 375, 370 to say 470, okay? If the house needs some love and I kind of like it, but it needs some updates, I'd be okay with 370. If it was a perfect house in a perfect world and I had to bid up to 470, I'd be okay with it. Chesapeake, 625. All right, perfect. All right, I'm going to assume single family because that's usually the price point you'd be at. So let's go over here. Let's go to Chesapeake, and let's look at, we'll go up and down a little bit on that price range. So I'm going to say 725 to 525, okay? Mostly because when I've worked with clients in that price range, sometimes that's the case. To be honest, though, in Chesapeake, 570 is a very different house than 720. But we'll look at this price range just for the sake of picking something. Okay, we'll deselect waterfront just to kind of keep things homogeneous. And then yeah, so here's what we'll do. All right, so months of supply 3.2. All right, so not quite as competitive as the rest of Hampton Roads at all price points. 3.2, but still a seller's market, right? And if I go over here and let's see here if I can pull up median days on market, which would be the second metric that I would look at, I go, oh, it's 9 days on market. Let's zoom in here real quick. Right, I can see here. Actually, let me pull up. Let me do it over here. I want to do weekly because I'd like that a little bit better. Detached Chesapeake 570 to 7. Well, that's good enough. Good enough for government work. We can dive in. Hey, by the way, Tristan, if you want to jump in and just kind of do an individual like consultation on what you're looking to do and when you're trying to do it by, there should be a link below in the description on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, wherever you're at, you can. What now?
Just DM us, yeah.
Yeah, you can just shoot us a DM and we'll send you the link. I try to have a conversation with folks about a year out because there are some things that I like to kind of go over anywhere between 6, 9, 12 months in advance that I think can set us up for success. So that link should be down below. All right, so over here, let's look at median days on market. All right, and I can go on a week-to-week basis. So 15, 4, 9, 12. Like you can see that basically since almost January, really the highest it's been is 45. I would probably cast that out as an outlier. This is probably a week where something that had been sitting on the market or several houses that had been sitting on the market sold that had been on the market for a long period of time. And so I'm always cautious when I have these one-off blips like this because that's probably what's influencing it. But if I kind of take the average here, I can see that really if something's sitting on the market for more than 12 days, that's an issue. You're overpriced as a seller. So unless it's something that's very unique or is just absolutely smells like cat piss inside, it is unlikely that you are priced right. Okay. Let me go over to another metric that I think is super important to pay attention to, and that is, where is it at? Average list price of average percent of list price received, right? As a percentage of what something is listed at during the week. Let's just say this last week, from April 22 to April 29, every contract that came in was an average of 101.6 of what list price was. Not a buyer's market. It's just not, right? Did I get under contract on a house? Dr. Masab closed on a house out in Chesapeake not that long ago at 5. I'm not sure if you'd be okay. Upper 5s is what he closed at. And the house had been sitting for about 20 days. It was in a somewhat unique situation, like location-wise. And the appraisal ended up verifying that the price that they were at. But because it had been sitting for 21 days, about a week past what they were expecting, we were able to get 2% closing costs on that house. Not super normal in a market where the average person is paying 101.6. And I told Dr. Masab, I said, hey, look, if you are looking, because he was using the physician's loan to do 100% financing, and he was hoping to be in a position where we could negotiate closing costs and be $0 out of pocket. That was what he was hoping to accomplish. And so I said, all right, well, let's focus on these types of properties, these ones that have been maybe sitting for only 2 or 3 weeks, because if we are the only contract that was negotiating with them, we have a high likelihood or high probability that that seller might capitulate to our demands. But if it's the first weekend that it's on the market and they have 7 offers, they are going to laugh in our faces if we're asking for closing cost assistance. It's just not going to happen.
Todd just showed up.
Todd Collins, my man. Cheers. We're doing wine tonight. Glad to have you in. We're live on all platforms, all except for Instagram. We'll get there eventually. Again, if you're watching and you have any questions, please feel free to jump on.
Made it rain with his money gun.
Oh, man, the money gun. All right. Well, if I feel so weird asking this. I don't want to ask, but Todd would yell at me if I didn't. Hey, if you want to support the channel and you've been watching for a period of time, I think you can do gifting on YouTube, on Facebook, and TikTok.
Yeah.
I don't think you can do it on LinkedIn. Please do not feel obligated whatsoever to do that. But if you feel like you're getting value and or you just want to support a local content creator, I'd love that. Absolutely fantastic. Okay.
You want to answer a question here?
Yeah.
Keep going through.
Yeah, what's the question? Are homes still selling, going over asking? Do you expect the market to slow down in the next 6 months? Great question. It depends on the price point and it depends on the house. It is not as competitive as late 21, early 22. It's just not. And we can look objectively at that data, right? So let me go back over here and reset, all of these real quick. If I look at all price points in all of Hampton Roads, and I look at that whole that one that we just looked at, right? Average percent of list price received. What I can see is the highest was in 21, early 22, and then it's come down. Now it came down to a low of 98.9, but it's already kind of come back up. What I'm kind of expecting is from May, June, July, August, right? So highs during the summers here, is that we'll probably remain up here because inventory is just too stinking low. And if you just tuned in and didn't see active listings here, let me go back real quick. Boom. Typically, we would see active listings go up January, February, March, and that happens almost every single one. So here's January, February, March, right? April. January, February, March, April. Typically, active listings would go up. And we are here in April, and it's flatlined. And I think there are too many people out there that have no incentive to sell their house. And there's still enough people in the marketplace that need a place to live have gone, well, interest rates really haven't gone down since September. I guess they're just going to sit here and hover. I need a place to live and I don't want to be a renter. So I guess this is the reality of what it's going to be. So I think what's probably going to happen, let me go back over here to median sales price, right? Because this kind of tells historically what happened. We can kind of look at historic trends, right? The highs during summer, low during winter, and that happens every single time. There's high, there's winter. I think we're probably going to see somewhere between 5, maybe, depending on how things go. If the Fed either keeps the rates flat and inflation numbers look good here, because I think they're doing the meeting tomorrow, if I remember correctly, and rates come down a little bit, I think we could see up to 10% appreciation this year. I think it's very reasonable to say that. I don't think that's outside of reason. I think what's going to end up happening. Yeah, that's a great point. Hoping to get PMI off. Didn't know the current market affects the home value. You can call in and ask them to do a early assessment of value. I had someone that had because they had to put money towards an appraisal guarantee instead of being able to put the 20% down. They ended up at like 17%, but was able to get PMI off the very next year because of values. So that's very doable. Great question. So I think what is probably going to happen is we're probably going to see 5 to 10% appreciation this year. I had, just to give you 2 examples, a buyer that I worked with that just closed on the house in April 26th. We were one of, I believe, 12 offers. The house was listed at $465. The house was great. It was in really good condition, something very special. The best of the best. What I was trying to mention earlier is the best of the best homes are going to sell above list price. I think they were underpriced a little bit. And
Tim's in the live.
Tim James?
No, Tim from the.
Our mastermind. What's up, Tim? Good to see you, brother. So what ended up happening is I think they easily could have been listed at $485. We won at $518. Okay, we had to guarantee in that in cash to be able to win out of 12 offers, and that's pretty significant above list price. And you have so many of those as you start pushing up the prices of homes. I had a listing in East Beach or Ocean Breeze or whatever it is, the back part. People in East Beach will be snooty and say that it's not technically part of East Beach.
Ocean Breeze. I don't think it's Ocean Breeze.
What is it?
That's the fun part.
What's the?
Sea Breeze, maybe?
I'm brain farting on the name of it. Yeah, a lovely home, but we listed it at $778 and we sold at $805 because it got bid up. So that's what I'm seeing in the marketplace is these houses that are the really nice ones everybody wants because more and more people I think I'm seeing at least a trend that people they're like I don't want to move in, I don't want to do repairs if I don't have to, I don't want to deal with that crap. And I'm seeing more and more, and that is from starter homes all the way up to $1 million homes. I have a client that just turned down putting an offer on a house listed at 1.1 because they're like, yeah, we could buy it and we could fix it up. This is a lot of what we're looking to do, but I just don't want to go through a $200,000, $300,000 renovation. I'd rather just wait to something pops up somewhere between 1.5 and 2 that is finished and I don't have to worry about it. And I was like, okay, cool. You might have to. It might be a multiple bid situation. Are you okay with that? Yes, it's more worth it for us not to have to deal with things and move into a completed project than have to do, deal with subcontractors, schedule things, that type of thing. So
Baby's point.
there you go. Thank you. Baby's point. So I'm seeing more and more of that. What I think is going to end up happening is what we will see, like every single year, prices after summer start coming down a little bit. So just because you see a price retraction, because what was happening in midsummer, September, October, November, is every freaking news channel that was on the planet was doing doom and gloom. Oh my gosh, the housing market is crashing. Now, if you look at, if you want to you really nerd out, you can go to Black Knight Incorporated, which is a fantastic website. If you want to really nerd out on numbers and data, this is a great website to do that. Let me pull up. Let's see, Dana Analytics. And where is data reports? There we go. The mortgage monitor, okay? And so what you'll see here, if I go down, is that there is no such thing as a national housing market. It does not exist. No such thing. But what the news focuses on is housing prices have gone down. Okay. Nationwide, sure. That doesn't give me any actionable information. You see right here, change in home prices from the peak of 2022. Where are all the markets that are down? West Coast for the most part. You see some blues that are actually still up. You see our market right there. Our market's one of them. But there are markets, even in Florida, there are markets that are up, some that are sideways, and some that are a little bit down. Real estate is local. It's 100% local. I don't care what anybody tells you about the national housing market. They're full of shit. They don't know what they're talking about. They are gloom and doom clickbait people. They don't know. That's what they're trying to do is they're trying to get views. So it's more nuanced than that. Every market is different. How many homes do you see with an appraisal comes in at price point? Tristan, you have picked at one of my pet peeves. You ever heard?
Hide the screen for this.
Yeah. Tristan, do you watch The Office? If you do, there's a scene where Michael Scott, he says he's not superstitious, but he's a little stitious. I'm not full conspiracy theorist, but I'm a little theorist, just a little bit. An appraisal, just kind of high level thinking here. Can you give me a little more there, Jonathan? Thank you, sir. Beautiful. Perfect. An appraisal is an opinion of value, and to see if the contract that is on the house is within the range that is arguable. Okay? Now, do appraisers on occasion and regularly come in and validate the contract price, i.e. right on the dot? Yes. Because I used to say this all the time. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Let's just say that we got the house was listed at $300,000 and I wrote a contract at $303,127.42. And the appraisal comes back at exactly that. And we're like, oh my gosh. I'm a genius. I'm so good that I got it to the penny. And I was like, this is bullshit. So I once I kind of sat down with an appraiser or two and had this kind of conversation of what the intention of it is. Because on occasion I'll get, if I'm representing the seller or the buyer, I'll get a phone call from the appraiser saying, hey, here's what I'm seeing with comps. What weight did you put here? Did you have another house that you'd like for us to consider? Because they're usually only looking within certain time periods. I'm like, yeah, well, there's this one that sold actually 13 months ago. And it sold it here. And if you look at appreciation at 7% this last year, it actually sold about here. and it was in about the same condition because I couldn't. So, yes, there is a part of me, the part of me that is like, what the F? Because are you kidding me? I got it exactly on the nose. But really, at the end of the day, the appraiser's intention is to see if. I know, I've been there. It's so freaking frustrating, especially here's where I've had this happen a few times where we wrote a contract. Now I went over comps and I went over pricing before we wrote the offer. We were the winning offer out of 10 people, and let's just say, we were the house was listed at 260. We bid up to 275, and we provided a $10,000 appraisal guarantee because I'm like, hey, even if we can make arguments all day long that 275 is an arguable number based on comps and what's going on in the market, any seller on the planet, as soon as you go over list price, wants that guaranteed as much as possible, right? That's great that you've offered me 275. How am I going to get that? Especially if you have a loan on the line, right? And so when the appraisal comes back at exactly the number, the gap between the appraisal guarantee and the contract price, I go, come on, bro. Like, really? You're not going to give me a little bit? I mean, how about $7,000 of the appraising guarantee, not the $10,000? So, yes, on occasion, do I have to argue and fight for clients and argue with appraisers? Sure. Are they corrupt, bad people? No. Most appraisers genuinely care about people. There are some lazy ones out there. There are. I've seen them. I've encountered them, but they're not bad people. They're not awful. Hey, again, we'll cover real quick because I'm gonna shift over from market data to some events that are going on. Our libation of the evening is, let me see one more time, Mr. Sean. Highly recommend. $12 bottle, super reasonable, delicious. Well, come on. It's trying to find my face there. There we go. Williamsburg Winery, 2 shilling red, $12. You can get it at Total Wine. Did you get a Total Wine?
Yep.
Total Wine, you can get it there. You can probably get it, Harris Teeter or Fresh Market or something along those lines. $12, super delightful. We're sipping it tonight. Highly recommend. Well, that's nice. Okay, let's shift over into some fun stuff. First and foremost, where is my notepad? Oh, here it is. So, pardon, if Sean had his way, this would be pretty and in a slide deck, but I didn't have it. It would be a beautiful PowerPoint. I'm just going to make him do it from now on. Shove it over on him. All right, so we're going to cover mostly events that are going on in Virginia Beach. If you are from the coastal Virginia area, you realize that there's places in downtown Norfolk, Newport News, plenty of places to go, and there are events happening all over the place. The very first one I want to point out because I'm going it next weekend. So if you're going to be at the Virginia Wine Festival at Town Point Park, Sean and I will be there. We're going to be doing a little bit of what I like to call Dan on the streets. It's a little bit stuttered, Sean. Are you noticing it's kind of freeze framing a little bit?
Yeah.
Apologize for that, folks. We're going to be there, and we're going to do some Dan on the street stuff where I bring some trivia, some questions. We'd love come out and say, hey, if you watch us and introduce yourselves, we'll be out there with a microphone asking some questions and kind of just engage in having a good time, hopefully having a little bit of wine ourselves. That is this weekend, the Town Point Virginia Wine Festival, Saturday, May 6th and Sunday, May 7th from 11 to 6 p.m. daily. There's going to be some food, about 30 of Virginia's premier wineries are going to be offering tastings, and there will be some food out there. Absolutely worth it enjoying. If you have not had an opportunity yet to go to the Cape Henry Lighthouse, man, I'm stumbling over my words. I promise it's not the wine. I just have a tendency to flub my words. You should see how much Sean and my editor edit my videos because I have to say it multiple times because I think I have mild dyslexia, to be honest. Stop laughing at me, Sean. It's me.
Took me a while to get it, but here you go.
There you go. Beautiful. So Cape Henry Lighthouse Tour is a guided tour of the historic Cape Henry Lighthouse is coming up. They have a couple of them. Definitely, you want an opportunity to go out and climb the tower. Bring plenty of water because it does get really hot in there and learn about the history and significance and enjoy some of those panoramic views. Next is Janet Jackson is coming to the area with her tour of Together Again. This is going to be at the Virginia Beach Amphitheater or the Veterans United Virginia Beach Amphitheater. That is going to be her latest tour, and she's going to be playing some of her new music and some old music. You've got the Virginia International Pan Fest. Now, Sean, if you had to guess what that is, what would you guess the Pan Fest is?
I need a better guess, but At first, I thought cookware.
You know, that's not a terrible guess. It's not a terrible guess. The Pan Fest is a steel drum music festival. Now, what's special about this one is it's absolutely free. May 12th and 13th on the 24th stage down at the Virginia Beach oceanfront. It's going to be a musical celebration featuring some of the unique signs of steel drum bands and some performances. I think it's going to be super cool. I plan on taking my kids down there to go check that out. The Chicago musical in concert. So if you're huge into musicals, this is another one that I'm thinking would be super cool to go to. I don't know. I'm going to be super busy this weekend, so I'm not sure if I can do all of it. But this is at the Chrysler Hall in Norfolk. Absolutely one of the coolest places to go if you love concerts, if you love what's the word I'm looking for? Orchestras. This is the place to go. Sometimes you got to dress fancy to get in there, though. Next up, you've got the A Berry Tasty Adventure. See what I did there, or see what they did there. A berry tasty adventure, strawberry picking and picnic. This is going to be at the Hickory Ridge Farm on May 6th also. Now, $45 a person. This includes 2 quarts of strawberries, a hayride, a child-friendly nature program. They're going to talk about farming and being tied into nature. I think that's super cool. And a fun-filled day there at the farm and getting some fresh strawberries. And I don't know about you, but when it comes to strawberries, Sean, there is a massive difference between berries that are picked fresh and ones that are frozen on the, when it's like red all the way through, super juicy, just delightful. So go down there and get yourself some fresh strawberries from Hickory Ridge Farm. Last and not least is the 2023 Volleyball and Vibe Volleyball Tournament, which is going to be down close to the Vibe District in Virginia Beach. The cutoff is not till May 15th, so you have plenty of time. I think the smallest your team can be is 6 people, and the largest is like 14. So if you're into volleyball, which my brother is, I sent him this link. This would be a fantastic way to go out and compete. If you need some resources here on the screen, feel free to screenshot this, or I'll just shout them out real quick. You got visit virginiabeach.com, beach events, vb.com, vabeach.com, and festevents.org. I'll say that one more time. Virginia Beach, visit virginiabeach.com, beach events, vb.com, va or beach.com, sorry, and festevents.org. Thank you so much for tuning in. Sean, do we have any final questions there that we need to answer? If not, it's a pleasure being with you this evening, and we will see you.
I'll put those links in the description.
Put the links in the description. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Please feel free to put any suggestions into the comments of things that you would like for us to cover in the future. I'm going to cover, I think, next time some developments, some new construction that's coming up, and I think I'm going to get the marketing director of Fest Events to join us. So until next time, cheers.